the co-founder of Stamp the Whack. I'm a host and scheduler at Worldwide FM and also one of the hands behind Whalers Choice, a new record label. My early musical experiences, I was a trumpet player in secondary school up to grade 6, but then packed that in because I didn't think jazz was cool. It wasn't until uni that I really figured out what kind of music I was into. I studied history at university in Bristol, but I think it was my dislike for that course which made me want to write about music, and had a friend in Brighton who was feeling the same thing, and we decided to start sharing music and create Stamp the Wax. There was never any grand plan at the beginning. We just wanted to share music we loved, and I think we've stubbornly kept at it. We don't so much like attributing to certain trends. It's always been music that's moved us, has a bit of soul to it, has a bit of groove, something that moves your body, moves your mind. So the way I approached the DeepWave compilation, at first I was thinking how can I go as deep as possible? How can I show off my music taste? But then it didn't feel true to me. I admire a lot of diggers, but I'm not a digger at heart. I just tried to stay true to who I was. And so there's a few tracks in the compilation which might seem a little bit suspect, a little bit of a guilty pleasure, like Jaipur, Vondel Park, but these things have been really instrumental in developing my taste from the indie rock days until to the dance music that I'm into now. It's not just a throwback. I think there's a lot of new stuff in there that's exciting me at the moment as well. A good mix of sounds, new and old, stuff that's informed my taste, stuff that's exciting me going forward. The first track I wanted to talk about is from Hannah, which is taken from a new label that I've started, Whalers Choice, with Andy LeMay and Will Edge. He's released on Sound Signature. He's from Cleveland. He actually doesn't make music anymore. He's a tennis coach, but he's sitting on loads of old demos. It's very much informed by Detroit soulful house. Whalers Choice started by accident, almost, in a similar kind of unintended way that Stamp the Wax has started. Because me and my partner Josh, we have a lot of common interests, but we also have a lot of divergent interests as well. And so finding that one sound that we were going to channel through Stamp the Wax and the diverse platform it made it very difficult. So when this opportunity popped up with Whalers Choice, I grabbed it. We just went out for a drink one night, had a few too many beers on a weeknight, and Andy said he was sitting on some demos from a producer called Hannah, which he wasn't able to release on Dimensions Recordings, and he played it to us and we all loved it, and it was just that moment where we were all in agreement and we're like, there's no reason why we shouldn't do it. But we've got a couple interesting ones in the works. Nothing that I can talk about yet. I don't want to jinx it, but we're excited for where things are going. The second one is Vondel Park, California, Analog Dream. So that was one of the throwbacks, one of the first tracks that we ever wrote about on Stamp the Wax. It's got this lo-fi indie electronic sound to it, and it bridged the gap quite well for me between the indie rock phase that I was growing out of and the electronic phase I was going into. You have these epiphany moments sometimes when you hear music, and just the merge of those two sounds really struck a chord with me. It was nice to look back at the way I'd written about it. It seemed very basic and juvenile at the time, but I remember being so excited about it. The third track I wanted to chat about is Motorsport Rye Lane Shuffle. Why I picked this track is because it transcends jazz to me. It's united so many different communities and sounds and music lovers, and you can play this at peak time in a club for a house night and it will still send people mad. It's done a great job in uniting a lot of different sounds. It sums up the energy of London at the moment. The label I chose for my DeepWaves issue is Music from Memory, which is based out of Amsterdam, started by Taco, Arbel and Jamie Tiller. Originally it started by putting out old music, but it's not really a reissue label. They found this old music, but they wanted to present it in a new way, in a new context, so they've often compiled back catalogues, presented it with new artwork. It kind of combines the sound of Red Light Radio and Rush Hour from Amsterdam, but presents it in more of a new wave aesthetic. It was difficult to choose what label for this issue because my taste varies so much, but I think it was for that reason that I chose Music from Memory, because their catalogue is so varied. You've got the compilation they just put out with John Gomez, you've got the beachside funk of Joan Bibloni, you've got the ambience of Gaussian Curve. I'm going to borrow a phrase from John. He said to us when we interviewed him around this compilation, he looks for the spaces in between, and I feel Music from Memory are really good at looking at those spaces. They've got so many different sounds, but they're not focused on these particular genres. It's all about finding the spaces in between those genres. I see Music from Memory as a really good example of variety, but still having that focus.